you've just written a book, and it's coming out this September. It's called Windfall: How the New Energy Abundance Upends Global Politics and Strengthens American Power. Yes. America's Power, excuse me.
Yes.
We'll edit that out.
It's a very long subtitle. I get that.
It's good, but you start with the one word and then,
Yeah, just get that.
So what do you mean by this? So politics are different because of energy. What changes are we talking about here? Because things don't really feel any different. I'm not sure if most Americans feel like they're more powerful because of this.
Well, a couple of things. First, the whole idea of the book is that energy is a big driver of foreign policy. And that's been true for decades or even centuries. You think about the big decisions made in World War II. A lot of them had to do with energy. So my lens is energy is a driver of foreign policy. If you get big changes in energy markets, you should expect changes in foreign policy. And I think that's exactly what we've seen, and that's what the book talks about. So we've had a big change in the energy world in terms of moving away from a world where people are kind of really focused on scarcity, particularly in oil and gas, to a world where now we're sort of in an energy abundant world. And that has changed strategic calculations of companies, countries, regional blocs, and the United States.
What do you mean by that? So it changes foreign policy in the United States. Does the United States care less about the Middle East now? Is it less threatened by Russia? We still import from 100 different countries.
Right.
How does it change things?
Well, I mean, you touch on a few things right there that I think most Americans, if you ask them, how has things changed for America, they would say, well, maybe they think we're energy independent, which we're not, and maybe they think we should care less about the Middle East, which we shouldn't. So the two things I think that people expect the most are two conventional wisdoms that actually I don't think bear out in practice. But it has meant positive changes for the United States in a lot of different ways. One, it's increased soft power, phrase coined by our colleague, Joe Nye, and it's increased our hard power, our ability to use coercive tools like sanctions. And these two things, I think, make a big difference in just what the United States can bring to the international environment. Then there's a whole other basket of issues that basically, just because America has been the place where you've had the big boom in oil and gas, at least thus far, it doesn't mean that this hasn't had implications for Russia, for China, for the Middle East, for Europe. So the strategic environment is different. So America is more powerful, and also the strategic environment has changed that in ways that, on the whole, I think are good for the United States.